I think you're violating the rules when you conduct your business that way, and should expect that there would be consequences.
So that video, which we uncovered here last night on the story, is getting quite a bit of attention, showing Debbie Wasserman Schultz scolding the chief of the Capitol Police, who is there to protect her and everyone else who works on Capitol Hill. So this is starting to get a lot more attention. RNC Chair Ronna McDaniel is now calling for the former DNC head to testify about all of this before Congress, and about the man who you see on the right hand of the screen, Imran Awan, who recently was arrested as he was leaving the country. He's her former IT aide. Tim Canova, Wasserman Schultz's 2018 Democratic primary opponent, has been taking it a step further, saying that the video shows obstruction of justice. He joins us now, along with Katie Pavlich, townhall.com news editor, and Mo Alithi of the Georgetown Institute of Politics and Public Service. Both are Fox News contributors. Good to have you all here. So, Tim, obviously, you're running against her, yes. So this story is helpful to you. But you believe that there's actual obstruction of justice here?
Well, you saw the film for yourself, the video. So it's a question. Is she obstructing justice when she makes a threat to the head of the Capitol Police? At the very least...
And the threat was what exactly?
Well, she said there would be consequences, and this was a subcommittee hearing of the Appropriations Subcommittee on the legislative branch. So was she threatening that somehow the budget would be impeded if he did not cooperate and hand over the, what is it, a laptop or a computer that she said was hers? At the very least, it shows a pattern of mismanagement, and we saw that throughout her tenure as the DNC chair. The DNC lost an awful lot of seats, the Democratic Party, in the last few years when she was chair of the DNC. In addition to losing seats, you know, she didn't cooperate with turning over the servers of the DNC. There's lots of questions about that. And there's even a fraud lawsuit against the DNC, which really goes to her tenure as the chair of the DNC.
Well, with regard to this particular story, I mean, the reason that she is getting so much attention here is because this man was forbidden from touching any congressional computers because there was an investigation into whether or not he had accessed them improperly, and he worked for several members of Congress on the Hill, and he and other family members who also worked in the IT business with him made $4 million working on the Hill. I mean, who knew that you could make that much money as an IT specialist? So you got to ask yourself, what's going on here, and what exactly are they being paid to do?
Well, what's most troubling is that when the allegations surfaced several months ago, every other Democratic member of Congress who Mr. Awan worked for fired him very promptly. Wasserman Schultz didn't fire him until the day after he was...
Do you know why?
I have no idea. I think those are the right questions to be asking. But, you know, the people in her district, of course, they want a choice. And the problem with Debbie Wasserman Schultz is that it seems to be a nonstop drama, unfortunately. And that's divided the party an awful lot. The party needs to start unifying, and it needs to unify around some basic principles.
Tim, thanks. I want to get Katie to weigh in on this. You know, is there smoke in this fire?
Absolutely. I mean, the question
is there fire in this smoke?
Right, exactly. There's most certainly is, and the big question for me is, why wasn't Debbie Wasserman Schultz more concerned about this person working for her? There are national security implications here. He was wiring money to Pakistan after having access to the House IT system. And her questions should be, you know, not when the Capitol Police are going to give me my computer, which could have been compromised back, but please look into as much as you can to make sure that my office wasn't compromised, that my fellow Republicans and Democrats weren't compromised, and that there aren't people in Pakistan who now have her information.
As far as we know, there's no connection between it, because we all remember that the Democrats didn't want to turn over their server during the hacking investigation last summer. As far as we know, there's no connection between these two things, or might there be? Katie? And
I mean, we like you said, we don't have any evidence of that, but, you know, begs the question, why is Debbie Wasserman Schultz so averse to cooperating with investigations surrounding her IT systems, whether it's the FBI or the Capitol Police?
Well, weigh in on this.
Yeah, and in full disclosure, I worked at the DNC at the time that she was the chair. And I would disagree with the characterization that the DNC did not cooperate with the FBI and the server. It did turn over everything that was on that server. But you're right, it isn't related to this. Now, I don't understand this. I just don't understand why this got to the point it did, right? If I'm, you know, advising Debbie Wasserman Schultz and every other Democrat has fired the guy, right? I don't understand why
we
she
don't know
keeps
the
him
nature
on.
of the work that he was doing for
Right.
her. And she obviously, I mean, not obviously, but I think one could assume, based on what we know, that she felt protective of him in some way.
And I don't know. I mean, one thing about Debbie, knowing her a bit, is, you know, there have been a lot. I mean, she's come under fire quite a bit for a lot of different things during her tenure, and her inclination tends to be to dig in. You know, but when a guy who's barred from being able to access congressional, you know, technology remains as an IT director, it raises
and
questions.
Still getting paid by the taxpayer to do that job,
I don't
by the way.
know if there's smoke. I don't know if there's fire, but I do think there are some questions about that. But I do think we should be careful not to try to conflate that with, you know, the other issue.
But we're going to continue to ask them because it's a story that we don't see in too many places, and we're wondering why about that too. Because it's obviously a story to dig into. Thanks, you guys. Good to see all of you.